Redditors, what is your "did I freaking stutter" moment? Vehicle inspector here. Sir, your back taillight is broken. You need to get that fixed and come back. I'm friends with the owner here and you're telling me that my car has problems? I already have, and if you aren't prepared in the future, don't waste my time. My friend has a shop and does vehicle inspections too. At least once a month he hears, but some other shop gave me a sticker. And his response is always, how nice for you. Take it to their shop then. When I finally kicked my ex out of my life, she tried to argue us back into being together as I drove her to the airport, and even had the balls to critique my arguing techniques as inconducive to resolving a fight. I cut her off and said, what part of this are you not getting? We're way past that. This is not a fight that I need to work through with you. I'm taking you to the airport and I never want to see or hear from you again. Dude, I feel your pain. Went through almost the exact same crap with my last ex. My ex openly admitted to getting me mad on purpose because she found enjoyment in it. Screw all crazy exes. Found out my supposed best friend, who I was letting live on my couch, was sleeping with my girlfriend who was also living with me. I work in IT, so I work crazy long hours, but we had a massive power outage one day and my boss said to go home for the day. So I left 5 hours early. Caught them both red-handed. Kicked them both out at once, which was ideal because I got 2 birds with 1 stone. They both apologized profusely and asked me, even though they made a mistake, why would I kick them out on the streets in an area where they can't afford to live? Silicon Valley. I laughed my butt off and said, I guess that's something you two should have figured out during pillow talk, huh? And I slammed the door as hard as I could right in their faces. Needless to say, it wrecked me for a while because I loved that girl. But looking back on it, I think it's the only moment in my life where I proudly have stood up for my morals and values and not taken any crap or continued letting people walk all over me. And that crap is priceless. God damn, dude. Props to you for being such a savage and an overall Chad. Hope everything worked out. My mom came to my new place, and out of reflex, she called me a lady of the night like she did when I was living with her as a teenager. I told her to get out. There was this amazing moment when she was completely disoriented by my reaction. It didn't compute, so I had to tell her again. It's time for you to go, please leave. It was one of the most important moments in my life. I'm amazed you were nice enough to let her show up in the first place for treating you that badly. Good on you for immediately sending her out. Thanks, she was there because I want to stay on good terms with my dad. He is the reason I'm anywhere near her. Sending her out was very empowering and very sad. It was amazing to finally have the power to stand up to her, but really sad that this is what I have to put up with from my own mother. Ever since then, she has made an effort not to insult me in front of my face. So there's been some progress. Horrible situation. My mom was an alcoholic who was paying for all of her boyfriend's nursing home expenses and then paid all of his family's expenses like car payments, big purchases like appliances, or home remodel payments. My mom's addiction caused her health to plummet. She needs to be in nursing care. Her BF dies and his family never contacts her unless it's to complain about the money they need. I take over her finances and cut off all of those freaking sugar mama payments. If they had stayed in regular contact or regularly visited her, sure, I would have considered it. But no, they just wanted her to cover their payments. I cut off the entire family. My mother had a lot of money. One of the jerk's BF's sister calls to tell me that they're going to report me to Adult Protective Services. I say, go ahead. I have nothing to hide and you guys are the jerks. They were flabbergasted that I said, did I freaking stutter? They tried to report me, but all that happened was Adult Protective Services reached out to see if I needed any help transitioning my mom to the nursing care. They stopped talking to my mom after that. She died never hearing from them again. I was the one holding her hand during the last few days of her life. They didn't come to her funeral or to the memorial her students held for her after that. If I'm being honest, I think this OP was pretty soft on these people. Maybe this was their first time having to talk to horrible people, because I would have tombstoned these people to hell. When I quit my last job due to a promotion, I let my current boss know that I accepted the promotion and gave him 3 weeks notice, and that my last job was going to be March 31st. He proceeded to tell me that he would discuss a time when he would allow me to leave, and I wasn't allowed to leave until he said so. I very firmly repeated myself that March 31st would be my last day, and that was non-negotiable. He was the worst person I had ever worked with in my entire career. Slavery is illegal, yes? I called HR and they confirmed that he had no control to make me stay longer, and that I was free to move to my new position. On top of that, they said I was generous for giving 3 weeks notice instead of 2. They coached me on what I should do if the situation continued to persist, and offered backup to talk to him if it kept happening. He was talked to by HR. I was terrorized for the last 3 weeks I was there, as he tried to get me to quit so I couldn't move to that promotion. I contacted HR again and chose not to hand over the 6+ months of records I wrote down of his inappropriate behavior at the time, because I was leaving that position and it could affect my new promotion. I chose to only submit my documentation to support the person after me if they also had trouble, to support firing him. I also had to go to the doctor due to the stress and anxiety levels. I was given prescription medication for migraines so I could make it through the last 3 weeks. I didn't have a single migraine after I left that job. No promotion would have kept me from burning down a terrible boss. Sometimes people just need to be knocked down a peg. Had a door-to-door salesman ring the doorbell. I was nice, opened the door, and stepped outside onto the step. Dogs were going bananas. I let him tell me everything he was selling and then politely told him that I wasn't interested. Went to open the screen door to go back in, and he puts his arm out to stop it from opening. I have a resting jerk face normally, so I guess the look on my face was enough, but I was instantly livid with him. Had a dude try this while selling bullcrap books and reached out towards my kid, pointing, not grabbing, and says that I should be concerned for his education. This was after my 3rd refusal. It then turned into me saying, "Get off my freaking porch," and picking up a stick. I was enraged. Dude was trying to convince me that I really needed this overly expensive dictionary CD-ROM thingy. I told him, after much talk, that I literally don't, because I have a few paper dictionaries and internet access. He then screamed, "Well, it's not like you know what's best for you anyways." And he started trying to convince my mom. I took my mom's hand and left. I was 17 at the time. I worked in a gas station and 2 guys walked in and kept looking where all the workers were. I kept an eye on them because they looked shady. Then I see one of the guys put a pack of sausages in his pocket and then come over to the till to buy a Red Bull. I made my coworker, who was my sister, move so I could serve them. And then I scanned the Red Bull and said in the most casual way I could, with my heart nearly ripping out of my chest, I'm not a confrontational person, "Do you want to pay for the sausages you put in your pocket too?" And the look on this guy's face was priceless. I had to repeat myself, and he just mumbles, "I'm sorry," and paid for the sausages. After they left, my coworker lost it, said how taken aback she was because she thought I was being rude to the customer before she realized what was happening. She ended up telling the manager about it, and I got a good old pat on the back and a sincere thanks. Doesn't sound like much, but it felt freaking awesome. Dude, I will say when you confront thieves and win, it does feel awesome. I stopped a group of TV thieves when I worked at a big warehouse store. I saw through all their little plans and set up my team to catch them before getting what they want. I'll have to tell that story in more detail when I do a video about stealing. My ex continued to text me like normal every day for 2 weeks after we broke up, something she initiated. Eventually I ended up telling her, "Look, you don't want to date, you don't want to be friends, I'm not going to keep making small talk to make you feel better." A week later, she still texted me to wish me a happy birthday. The breakup, according to her, was because I couldn't read the room. This reminds me, my ex broke up with me because I spent Father's Day with my dad. Yes, really, she wanted to hang out at the beach and was mad that I spent the day with my old man. She then proceeded to have a new BF 4 days later, and always tried to rub it in my face whenever we were in the same room. I got sick of it and just stopped talking to her. Fast forward a few years, she finds out my sister took her own life. Well, said ex then proceeds to make my sister's situation about herself and use it to shoehorn her way back into my life. When I realized that, I just stopped talking to her again, and anytime she talked to me, I would just outwardly be cold. Checking into campus housing, when I gave them my last name, fairly uncommon, and the girl says, "Do you mean insert name that rhymes with mine?" It's like, what the freak, are you seriously suggesting I don't know my own name? This is always my experience. Person, misspells my name. Me, actually, it's spelled like this, spells name. Person, no, I'm pretty sure there was an R in it. Me, just with a blank stare. This is my biggest pet peeve. I have people in my firm look up my name to send me an email and misspell my first name in the opening. In turn, I respond by misspelling their first name and signing the email with my name, or I respond back with a shortened version of their name that I know they hate. It's Monday now, and it's happened 3 times today. These people have multiple degrees but can't pay attention to the details like someone's name. Or, and I'm gonna say this slowly for those in the back, they could be doing it on purpose. Believe it or not, there are some jerks out there that will purposely misspell people's names because they don't like them or they don't feel like they need to learn a name for whatever reason. No thank you, I don't want to work Saturday. Are you doing anything Saturday? No, I just don't want to work Saturday. You contracted me to work weekdays. Anyways, that got me a complaint filed against me for not being a team player. It was my first job after leaving school, so I never really knew how to defend myself from and stand up to office malarkey. At the time, I did do a few Saturdays to appease them, but joined a sports team to give them a reason not to. I have since left for a better job. I worked at a college bookstore while in school and kept working after I graduated. Since I had no more classes, the manager gave me a ton of hours during rush week, which was fine by me, except for the fact that he scheduled me for 11 days in a row, including a Saturday that I told him that I couldn't work ahead of time because I had a prior engagement. When I told him that I wasn't working for 11 days straight with no days off and that I had plans on that Saturday, he asked me, "Do you really have plans, or are you just saying that so you don't have to work all those days straight?" Yes, I do have plans, and even if I didn't, I need some time off. I worked at a big retail place, big yellow tag, blue polo shirts, while at university. One summer, I came up a month early to get some work in. I was a part-timer, but they were short-staffed, so they gave me 40 hours every week. I had previously told them that once school starts, I need to cut down to around 10 hours and only weekends. My first week of school, they scheduled me for 40 hours. I reminded my boss that I couldn't do that, and he said he would fix the schedule on my next shift. My next shift, he gave me a schedule for 30 hours. So I gave him my badge and walked out without even finishing that shift. If they're not gonna respect my time, I'm not gonna respect theirs. Sometimes it's okay to burn a bridge. If you want to hear about how I burned the bridge at my last job, check out the I Quit in a Blaze of Glory video here on the Genius channel. After you finish this video, of course. When I was a teenager, I had a crappy part-time job doing telesales for a window company. The boss, Stuart, was an absolute jerk. He was always rude and unpleasant to anyone and nothing was ever good enough for him. We were meant to work from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., but he would keep us up for another hour afterwards each night, with no overtime pay. One night I was babysitting after work, so I told him that I absolutely must leave on time. He said, "Alright." Slightly before 8 p.m., a girl came for a job interview and they went into a private room. 8 p.m. came and went and Stuart did not come out. Eventually, around 8:30 p.m., I popped my head into the interview room door and said, "Stuart, you said I could leave at 8 p.m. It's now 8:30. I need to go." He said, "Fine, leave." The next day I went into work, Stuart immediately fired me for embarrassing him in front of a potential employee. A few days later, a friend, Mike, from the telesales place called me and said that Stuart had been fired. He, Mike, had been made boss, and that I could have my job back if I wanted it. I went back to work and there was Stuart, shamefacedly sitting with the other telesales operators. Apparently he had begged for and was given a job in telesales as an operator after being fired as the boss. He was so embarrassed that he couldn't meet our eyes. Needless to say, he remained friendless the entire time he worked there. Hell yeah, screw bosses like Stuart. I had an awesome female boss when I worked at a call center, but she quickly got a better job elsewhere and was replaced by what I assumed was a 40-year-old frat boy. Dude sucks so bad that I quit on him, and to this day it's the only place that I ever quit without putting in my 2 weeks. Also, icing on the cake, a few years later I saw him working at a warehouse store that I used to work at. Guess he wasn't good enough to be manager. I work at a job where I work a week on and a week off. After my week of work, I legit had wedding stuff to do, but we were in a tough spot last month, so I worked 3 extra days, just to help out. I told them after that I'm busy. Well, 2 days later, I get a call from my boss. "Boss, hey, I need you to work tonight, alright?" Me, "I can't, I'm busy the rest of the week." "Excuse me?" "I said I can't, I'm busy the rest of the week." "Busy with what, huh? Drinking and partying?" What? Who said anything about drinking and partying? My boss legit couldn't wrap his head around the fact that we have lives outside of this job. He legit threatened to not give me my time off that I requested over this. Basically called me a sack of crap for not pitching in. I just worked 3 days overtime, so 10 days in total. I called him out on literally everything he said and he backtracked on it and even apologized. Then says, "You realize I can write you up over this, right?" I said, "Write me up for what? Being busy on my week off? Yeah, that would be dumb." My boss, yeah, it would. Get out of here with that crap. What's funny is since that conversation, the word has gotten around about our conversation, and apparently he told everyone that he caught me in a big lie about being busy when I wasn't, and that he put me in my place and gave me a stern talking to because I disrespected him. He never caught me in any lie because there was no lie to tell. I also never disrespected him. I made it a point to stay calm as Freak during that whole conversation, and to talk to him with respect. I feel like he just wanted to look like a macho boss, but he's going around making it look like he caught me in some big lie that isn't true. I mean, he even apologized. What's sad though is I told him that it sucks to put 5 years here, and he basically told me I'm worthless just because I couldn't work one night. That's not what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what you're saying. Otherwise, you wouldn't be saying I'm sorry and how can I make it right? By treating me with some decency? How about that? It's crazy to me that it's hard for my boss to believe that after a week of work straight, we might have some crap going on in our own life. It's like in his head, everything is about this job. Sorry man, but some people have lives outside of work too. We dropped our dog off at the groomer for her usual trim. When I returned 3 hours later, the receptionist returned with a dog that, while adorable, was definitely not our dog. Not the same breed or even the same size. I chuckled and said, "That's definitely not my dog." To which the receptionist thought the appropriate reply was, "Yes, that's Miley. That was her name, but not the same dog. I think I know what my own dog looks like, miss." Well, that's her. If you don't like the cut, you can discuss it with the groomer. That dismissive comment immediately made me lose my patience. Hey, get out from behind that desk and take this dog. We will go back there together and I will show you which dog is mine. I am not going to waste another breath arguing with you. Let's go. I found our Miley. It was the dog that was excited instead of confused when they saw me. I ended up getting that grooming for free. I was a CSR for a popular pizza chain and was handed a phone with an angry customer on the other line. They were complaining about having their pizza messed up, and I asked them what they ordered. Over the next few minutes, their story kept on changing. At first it was the sauce, and then it was the toppings, and then they were missing a side. I called him out on it, and I told him to go scam some other restaurant. Needless to say, he got only one F-bomb in before I hung up on him. My one rule of thumb is to never disrespect the people that handle your food, because you just might end up with some extra ingredients if you piss them off. When I found out about my ex-husband's last affair, he had several, I told him to open his iPad and start looking for a place to stay, as he sure as hell wasn't going to be staying in the house. He sat there and just looked at me like I was joking. I said, "Your fingers aren't broken, start typing away and find a place. I can either pack your bag for you and it will be done in 3 seconds, or you can pack it yourself." I said you have 3 choices, the car, the gutter, or find a friend. He then stood up and made his way to the bedroom to pack. Said he can stay at a friend's house. I said I don't care where you stay, it just won't be here. He moved in with the last affair that he had the following day. Yeah, that would be the day I quit my 16-year-old job, because they informed me that the money earmarked for my recovery from a work-related stress was for other people who might need it, and I would have to start paying out of pocket. After 10 minutes of chewing the HR rep out over the phone about how I was done and how horrible that place had become, and how I never wanted to see or hear from anyone there again, I got, "So what time will you be back in the office?" All I could do was hang up the phone, thank the therapist I could no longer afford, and go home. I never set foot in that office again. It was frankly one of the best days of my life, but a definite did I stutter moment. I was working at Wally World and a customer was on his phone from the start of the transaction. Do not do this. Placed a big package of toilet paper on the belt. I told him that it was $10 even. He was still on his phone and handed me a $10 bill. I gave him his receipt and he walked away. Right before he walked out, he noticed that I didn't give him any change and he tried to argue with me that I didn't tell him that it was $10 and he wanted a refund. I sent him to customer service because I couldn't give him a refund even if I wanted to, and he mumbled under his breath that I was a dumb bee. I replied, "It's not my fault that you were on your phone." He turned his head and said, "What did you say?" I slammed my hands down on the countertop and said loud and clear, "I said it's not my fault you were on your phone." He took a step back and left, and I went on my break. Worth it. Not me who said it, and it wasn't in a rude context, but I went on a date with the guy and tickets were cheap that night. As I was pulling out my wallet to pay for my ticket, he stopped me and says, "Nah, I got it." I asked him if he was sure and he says, "Did I stutter?" What makes that funny to this day is he did have a stutter, so when he said that, it was smooth as hell. That's it for this video. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. Put the playlist on in the background to finish listening to all the stories. Link at the top of the description. And if you like Am I the Genius, give Am I the Jerk a shot. It's linked in the description too. Either way, thanks a lot for watching and we'll see you guys next time.